All right, I think we are live now. Let's get a little sound off in the chat room. If make sure everyone can hear, make sure you can see all of that. I'm just doing a little bit more to get situated. Make sure I got all my windows set up properly, so I can see the chat. I can see what you guys are doing. Let's see. Let me toggle over to screen sharing, and looks like that's working as well. So we're going to be talking about marketing automation, and we've got a pretty awesome group here. Let's see. Let me take a look. All right. Hey, Travis, good to see you. I didn't realize you lived in Vermont. It's an amazing state. Let's see. A bunch of people. Scotty. Nice. Go from New Mexico, Nashville. Amber, good to see you here. Yeah, so drop something in the chat if you can hear okay, and if the video is coming through. It should be working for everybody. It's just you might have to wait just a second for it to start. And I'll wait and see if we've got any of that coming through yet. So hold on just a second as we get started. All right. You may have to reset or refresh the browser. I just had to do that to get it to work on my end. I'll just drop this in the chat. Cool. Everyone's saying sounds good, looks good. All right. Nice. There's a bunch of great people here. A bunch of names I recognize from various conferences. We got a handful of existing ConvertKit customers in here, and this is good. This is going to be good. So we're going to have plenty of time for questions in this. I'm going to give kind of a relatively quick overview of the marketing automation that I think you really need to get set up. And then we're going to spend some time on mistakes that I've seen a lot of people make, because running ConvertKit, we get to see what everyone's doing, what's working across hundreds of email accounts, and there's some really interesting trends that we've seen there. And then finally, I'm going to allow plenty of time to talk about basically answering your questions about ConvertKit. Whatever we can do to help, we're here for. So let's see. Okay, everybody's saying that the video feed and all of that is working. So we are good to go. So get your questions ready, because we're going to have plenty of time. Scotty, I don't know that you want to watch and listen while you drive. Maybe just stick to listening while you drive instead of watching. Who knows? All right. So let's jump right in. So I'm going to switch over to screen sharing here. And so we're talking about marketing automation. Actually, I should put my laptop over closer to the mic so that I can demo more easily. I promise this is not my first time. Anyway, excuse me while I rearrange stuff on my desk for just a minute. Those of you with a home office, do your kids place stuff all over your desk so that, like, I have this weird mix of recording equipment and kids' toys on my desk. Anyway, I'm sure some of you can relate to that. Let's see. So let's jump right in. First, I'm going to show you a couple of blueprints that we can use to get started with marketing automation. The most basic one is an automated product pitch. And it works pretty basically. Somebody signs up for an opt-in form, they put in their email address, and there's usually some kind of incentive that they're going to get. And then you're going to have a series of emails that go out, and then you're trying to convince them to buy. So let me show you one of these. If we go to nathanbarry.com/authority, you can see, if we scroll down, get a free sample chapter, opts them into the course, and so on. Let me show you this inside of ConvertKit. So this is my personal ConvertKit account for my blog. And I'll just switch over to courses, and actually we'll open that in a new tab as well. And so here it is, Authority Sample Chapter. So you can see once they sign up, they're going to get the sample chapter immediately, and that'll be delivered through the form. But then after that, 2 days later, they're going to get another email that talks about Authority, says some of the benefits. You can see there's just a soft pitch, a link to authority right there. And then it just keeps going 2 days, 5 days, 8 days, and so on. So that's pretty basic. You can do that in just about any email provider. But what you're going to want to do is set it up to be a little bit more advanced. And that's this part right here. You want to exclude people who buy, because it's kind of annoying to get pitched on a product that you've already purchased. And so if at any point someone makes a purchase in this email sequence, you want to make sure they stop getting the emails. And so there's 2 things that you need to do there. One, if you go to the settings for a course, you're going to want to exclude anyone who's purchased. If we go down, you can see we're excluding anyone who's purchased the authority. And so you need to, doesn't matter what email program you're using, but you need to stop your pitch once they purchase, because it just doesn't make sense anymore. So you're going to need to integrate your e-commerce with your email program. If you're not doing that and you're selling books or courses right now, you've got a bit of a problem. So if you're using other things, MailChimp, Aweber, a bunch of those, you can often tie it together with like Zapier. And then you can also, you can use Zapier to tie ConvertKit to a bunch of different providers as well. So that's the very first one. Anyone, feel free to jump in if you've got questions, just drop it in the chat. I'm keeping an eye on that as well. We've actually got a bunch of great people here right now, so this is good. So this is fairly straightforward. A series of emails that go out based on when someone buys. Now, if you're in the pre-launch phase for your product, actually, let's talk about that for a second. Drop in the chat if you have launched your product already, if you're just starting to work on it, or just where you're at in the process. So let's go. Just had the idea, already launched, or launched and growing, and then I don't know. You could put in there like, I've practically retired. My product is making so much money. Whatever you like. Those are kind of the options. Drop those in the chat, and I'll get a feel for where everyone's at. And while we're at it, why don't you drop into the chat how many email subscribers you have now? That way we can know what level of sophistication everyone's at, whether you're just trying to grow that initial audience, or if you are pretty established and you need to set out to get that funnel just right and really set up a lot of great marketing automation. Okay, so let's see. So Amber's just at the idea stage. Lisa's already has a product. Okay. Brennan has a few ideas. Yeah, Brennan, I think you're just getting started. I think you might do okay at this online business thing. We'll see. The jury's still out on that one. Let's see. So Lisa, just a quick thing, having trouble finding ConvertKit in Zapier. The ConvertKit Zapier integration is still in beta. And so when you're logged into ConvertKit, if you go to, actually I can show you. If we go to automations, oops, I just opened way too many tabs. And then we go to integrations, you can see Zapier here, and there's a link to that. And then it'll say, give you access right away. Okay. Let's see. So Amber's starting out with just 11 subscribers, started a month ago. It's not bad for getting going. It's actually that first 100 subscribers is probably the most difficult. Okay, so that's good to know. Now let's see. Let's jump back to, let me find where I was at, which was this tab over here. So that's the first one. You want to set up really basic email sequences. And what you're doing is when you set up this course, I didn't remember the reason that I was asking what level people were at. So if you're just doing the pre-launch for your product, you can put it together in the form of a course. And then that way, as you put out those early emails, then whoever signs up, they're going to get the first email, the second email, the third email. But then let's say the fourth and fifth emails aren't ready for your pre-launch yet. Then once they go through that segment and you add them later, ConvertKit will catch them up and send it out automatically. So there's actually a blog post that I wrote on this at nathanbarry.com/stop sending email broadcasts. And that goes into a lot more detail on that. So you can read about that, but basically the point is you can start doing some of these automations from the very beginning. Now, the next automation that I want to show you is an automated launch. And so what you're going to do on this is you're going to write out an email sequence just like before. But what you can do is take a whole bunch of subscribers and add them to it all at once. And then that way what's going to happen is they're all going to get it at the exact same time. And so then the cart will open and close all at once. And so you have pre-launch emails to warm it up. And then on a certain day, you'd have a link to the sales page recommending that people buy. And then, the launch emails, the urgency, the closing, all of that is going to happen in there. And again, you're really going to want to exclude purchases or exclude people who have purchased from getting additional emails. That's the biggest thing. You don't want to keep pitching people who have already purchased. You can move them on to something else, any of that, but that'll work well. So the next one that I want to show you is, a basic onboarding email. And let's say you have a bunch of content that you really like. You've put a lot of work into it. These are your favorite posts, and you want to make sure that they go out to all of your new subscribers. We actually just had someone switch over who writes a really popular blog on minimalism. And, he's written all this content over the years, and he's got, he's going to have a new subscriber come in who maybe has read one of his posts that went viral or something like that, but they don't know all of his great content that's in the backlog. And so when he switched to ConvertKit, he set it up so that they get just that onboarding course of 4 or 5 emails that say, hey, here's kind of the greatest hits of the blog. And then after that, he's using the completes a course automation in ConvertKit so that once they complete that onboarding course, then they can get moved into a segment to get the regular newsletter emails. And so that way you can make sure that someone's not getting too many emails at once, where they're not getting, let's say your twice a week blog posts and all your onboarding content at once. Though if you don't send very often, like if you just send once a week or every other week, I'd recommend keeping it simple and sending the onboarding and the newsletters to the same people. Hopefully that makes sense. There's another automation that I want to show you next, and that's actually, I don't have a little diagram for it, but I'll just show it to you directly in ConvertKit and explain how it would work. So what that one is let's say you're running a launch. And one thing that works really well is doing a downsell at the end of the launch. And so let's say you have a product, you're selling it for $500. If it's like a fully featured course, there's going to be, well, first of all, I should say you should have 2 tiers. So let's say you're selling it for $299 and $499. So you've got those 2 price tiers. There's going to be some number of people that can't buy it. So instead of, because it's just too expensive and they just can't afford it. So instead of overcomplicating things by having, a 3rd tier, a 4th tier, and so on, you could have just those at the beginning. But then as you finish your entire launch, you could do a downsell. And so that would be taking some version of the product and stripping it down, making it simpler. And then after the launch ends, you want to take a group of people that's highly engaged and hasn't yet purchased and offer that downsell to them. So this is how you would do it inside of ConvertKit. You would set up a new automation rule, and I'll find one here. So basically, when this person clicks a link in an email, clicks a link to the sales page, then I'm subscribing them to a form. And you could also tag them. It'd be the same thing. And then, so they click a link and they're being subscribed to a form. And actually a whole bunch of people are doing this. So what that lets me do is now I have a list of people who are actively engaged. They've clicked through the sales page. Now, to show you how that works, if we go into, let's say, a broadcast. Actually, I don't have one queued up. So let's I think I had a course. We'll go back to the courses and I'll edit one of these course emails just to show you. So when you add that link in, so here we're clicking through to authority. And so let's edit this link, and you just go to automation triggers, and then you would select the sales page link. And so when someone clicks this link in the course email or the broadcast, it's going to trigger the automation. And let's see, where did that go? I should close some of these tabs so I don't keep getting lost. Nope. Okay, I must have moved away from it. So let's go back to automations and then find that. Well, so basically now what I have is that automation, which is part of it, clicks the link and then they get tagged or subscribed to a form. And you can see there's a bunch of different options I could do here. I have to wait for this to finish loading. All 1,400 subscribers before I can interact with it more. But there we go. So you can see when they click a link, there's a bunch of different things that you could do. Subscribe them to a form, add a tag, remove a tag, etc. But in this case, we want to tag them. And then at that point, the other automation that we need is we need to be connected to our e-commerce provider. And so the way to do that is you could say when someone purchases a product, I use Gumroad. So makes a purchase on Gumroad. It's going to go to Gumroad and fetch all of my products. And so let's say when they buy the Authority Complete Edition, then we want to add a tag and Authority Purchasers. So by doing this, by combining these two, I now have groups of people who are most interested in the product, and then also are have not purchased. So with those two groups, what I can do that's pretty interesting is I can go create a new broadcast, and I can send it to the tags of, I guess we did it as a form. Oops, what did I turn on? So we did it as a form. So click through to authority, and let's turn off that. And note, so we have 1,079 people that have clicked through. So those are our most engaged people, and then we just want to come in here and exclude the purchasers. And there's, in that case, there was very little overlap. Let me see. I have a little bit else going on because I have it skewed across. But basically, I can go through and exclude anyone who's purchased and send only to those most engaged people. And so then this email is going to be, you could say like, maybe Authority was too expensive for you. And then you could pitch them on buying that package that's a stripped down version of the course or a stripped down version of the product, but has some more, at a lower price. Or sometimes if you're doing payment plans, sometimes people will pitch that as a downsell. Let's take a moment to take some questions. Does anyone have questions that that they would like answered about any of this process? So we've gone through 3 automations so far. I guess we've talked about 4 really. So just if you have a question, drop it into the comments and we'll go from there. In the meantime, as those questions are coming in, let's talk about one more, which is doing webinars. And I'm not going to go into this a ton right now, but you can see that you can actually do quite a bit with webinars. And I'm running this entire webinar, other than the actual live part of it, through ConvertKit. And so I wrote an article about this. If you go to convertkit.com / now I'm guessing 2015 webinars. There we go. And so you can go here. But basically, I have this entire walkthrough of how to do it, from a registration page to a thank you page, the automated reminder emails, and then a page to watch live, and then the automated follow-up emails to get people to remember to purchase after the webinar, those that don't purchase live on the event. And then I have a template for you that's very similar to the the template that you're viewing right now to watch this live workshop. So that's there for free to download, and that's another automation sequence. Because basically what you can do now is drop people into the top on the registration page, which are built into ConvertKit. I don't think I have one handy, but a bunch of you signed up through one at one point or another. And then let's see, I might have one in this account. Let's see. Well, I'll just go find one here. Here we go. So here's a landing page that I did for an authority webinar with Joseph Michael a while ago. And so you can see, actually, let's tab over to the live page. So this is a registration page template built into ConvertKit. You can customize all of this. And it's really nice to have those quick landing pages built in order to do a lot more. And just to start getting those subscribers. So webinars are a great way to do it. And then you can automate through courses, the follow-up emails, and then obviously automate, removing people once they make a purchase and all of that. So if you have any questions, drop them into the chat and I'll take them kind of as we go. The next thing that I want to talk about is the mistakes that I see people making. And actually for this, let me just switch back. All right, we're back on video. Okay, so mistakes. Let's talk about this. I have seen a lot of accounts ranging from people who are just getting started with 100 subscribers all the way up to people who have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, all using ConvertKit. And I've just seen a huge range. But one trend that I've seen in common is the people who put a ton of effort into putting together a really complicated, perfect marketing funnel are the ones who have the smallest lists. They don't tend to get past the mid-size of, say, 10,000 subscribers. Now, the people that do the best are the ones who set up a simple, streamlined funnel that has just the right automations in place, and then they put a ton of time into growing that list and putting out really great quality content. But if you've ever seen someone, and I have a bunch of friends that do this, post screenshots on Twitter or Facebook of their really complicated marketing automation flows from Infusionsoft, and we're just like, on one hand, you're kind of impressed because it's like, wow, that's so robust, and they go through all these different funnels. But then on the other hand, you're like, dear God, that's so complicated. How much work did it take to put all that together? Those people tend to be far less successful, in my experience, as we've moved them over to ConvertKit. They tend to be far less successful as far as revenue and total list size because they put so much time perfecting the system when really they could have gotten 80 or 90% there really quickly, and then put the rest of the effort into growing their audience. So that's why I would encourage you to just do relatively simple but powerful automations. So what you want to do, the automations you want is you want to track people's behavior. How engaged are they in the product launch? You want to let them move between lists, with one click. You want to use tags instead of lists to track everything about them so you don't have duplicate subscribers and any of that. And most importantly, you want to track what they purchase. If you track what they purchase and change the behavior slightly based on that, you're going to be pretty far along already. So those are the major things that you need to do. Other mistakes that I see people making. Let's see. I think really a big one is not integrating with your e-commerce provider, not tracking purchases. That's a huge one. It's just, there's so much more that you can do once you know who's purchased. Like in a launch or anything like that, you need to send an email at the end saying, hey, the urgency window is closing, or whatever it is that you're doing, that the launch is about to close and this is your last chance to get whatever product. you need to send that email, and you need to not send it to people who purchased. I see this all the time. I've bought products in launches where even though I bought midway through, they don't know that. And that really sucks. So you need a direct integration that happens automatically, either directly like with ConvertKit and Gumroad that plays really nicely, or through Zapier or something like that, rather than relying on something like exporting and importing CSVs, because you'll forget to do that. Okay, so Lisa's asking a question. What do you think about content upgrades? So as a different automation per post. I love content upgrades. I think they're a great way to go. And that actually ties into another mistake that I see people making. And that's having a really generic call to action to subscribe to their newsletter or subscribe to their blog, where you write this really great post and then the call to action is just subscribe to my newsletter. And that's not very compelling. And so what I'd encourage people to do is to actually give away something. And that's the idea of a content upgrade. So what you want to do right at first is you're giving away, maybe something that's generic across your entire blog, where it could be your free guide to doing something. I wrote one a while ago called the Productivity Manifesto, and it was everything that I knew about productivity, in one PDF. And I was giving away that for free in trade for an email address. It could be, you could do your 7 tips on doing whatever, a free video series, a free email course, but give away something. Now, a content upgrade is a step beyond that, where you make it really specific to that one post. So the example, actually, let's see. I'm going to Google my own stuff right now and let's see. Let's see. Okay. Here's the article that I want to show you. Let me tab over to that. Okay. So I have this blog post, 7 techniques to design killer graphics for your blog post. Kind of a interesting title. So it's this really long post explaining lots of things. Man, it's really long. But down at the end, I have, hey, if you like this post, get all the Photoshop files for free. And so, there's an example of all the posts. And then that's a content upgrade, to download all of the Photoshop files. And implementing that in ConvertKit is actually pretty straightforward, because you can create individual forms. And I'm trying to find the one. Okay, here it is. Blog graphic PSDs. So this is a really popular post, and it got 259 subscribers. And so you can implement specific forms as that content upgrade, like this one. And then once I click into this, you can see how the giveaway works, where there's that incentive email. And so this is going to be the blog graphics, the subject, hey, I'm glad you liked the post. And then I can customize the confirmation email. And then I can actually upload, the PDF, or in this case, the zip file of what I'm giving away right there. And so that works really well. Let's see. Okay, so that is how all of that works. As far as other things, with the form, a lot of people do content upgrades, and they like to do it in a modal or, a pop-up. And so what you're going to do there is you can actually do that right inside of ConvertKit. And so you could trigger it with a link. So I didn't do it in this post, but now that I think about it, I should have just made this a big button and said, like, get the PSDs. And then once you click that, it would trigger this modal. And that's actually really easy to put together. And then if you want to do things based on exit intent, timing, scroll percentage, you can have all of that triggered. So I am a huge fan of automation, I'm also a huge fan of automation, but I'm a huge fan of content upgrades, and I think they do a really good job driving more subscribers. And that's why ConvertKit has all the methods for doing content upgrades built right in, rather than having to use outside tools or having to hack it together with MailChimp or that kind of thing. So what other questions can I answer about marketing automation, or what features in ConvertKit can I demo? All of that. This is basically, I showed you the overall stuff on marketing automation that I wanted to really quickly. And now it's, this part of it is basically all about helping you with any questions. Okay, so Jeff has a question. What's best, one-step opt-in versus two-step opt-in? Okay, so this comes down to a simple question. Do you want to have more subscribers that are lower quality or fewer subscribers that are higher quality? At this point, it's a personal choice. Inside of ConvertKit, you can do single or double opt-in. And actually, inside of most email tools now, you can do single or double opt-in. So which would you prefer? Do you want a smaller, more engaged list, or do you want a higher subscriber count to be able to say, I have 20,000 subscribers or whatever, but have the open rate be lower and they'd be less engaged? Basically, the more hurdles you put in place in order for them to join your list, generally the higher quality that list is going to be. So single versus double opt-in, totally a personal preference. I actually go back and forth. Sometimes I'm like, I want this segment of the list to be really engaged, and so I'll make sure it's double opt-in. Other times, I'm just trying to gather as many subscribers as possible, and that will be single opt-in. So Jeff, you just mentioned that you want a higher quality list, then go for double opt-in. And that's really easy. Double opt-in is the default in ConvertKit, but it's really easy to turn off. Okay, Adam's mentioning, this is the beginning of the workshop, but was wondering if you have any good strategies for a pre-launch. How often email people leading up to the launch? That's good. Let me look at my computer. I'm going to find some graphics really quickly, and then I'll walk you through how the pre-launch works. Let's see. Just a second. I have all these graphics that I put together, and now I've got to find them. Sorry for the pause. Okay, so I have it from a webinar. Let's see. Let me pull this up. Okay, so someone else, Rachel's mentioning that Canada requires double opt-in to satisfy the Spam Act. Then in that case, if you're in Canada, then definitely do double opt-in. And I think double opt-in is a really good default. If you don't have a particular reason to do single opt-in, then absolutely do double opt-in. Okay, I'm almost found what I'm looking for. All right, I'm gonna switch my screen sharing. We'll just share the entire screen. All right. Okay, before we jump into the launch sequence, I'm going to take a couple questions. Just reading Scotty's comment. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Susan is asking, how would you give consistent visitors or purchasers additional gifts? Does this help with your business, and is there a way to do it besides content upgrades? Yeah, so if someone has come back, consistent visitors would be hard to do because if they're not on your list. But anyone who's a really great subscriber, who's bought a lot from you, that sort of thing, if you have them all tagged and organized in your email program, then what you can do is you can send an email just to them. Just send out a broadcast and say, hey, this is a thank you pay, or this is a thank you for having purchased. And it's just as easy as selecting that tag of all of your buyers and sending it out. So with that, let's jump into some specific material on launching a book. And I have a book here because these are slides that I put together for a book-specific webinar that I did. But this really works for any kind of product. So basically what you're going to do, the very first step is you're going to have a pre-launch landing page. And that's going to say, here's what I'm working on. And here's a place to opt in. And so let's see if I have an example. Oh, here we go. Perfect. So when I did my app design handbook book a couple years ago, this was my pre-launch landing page. And what you can see here, there's a big book, a couple sentences about it, and then sign up to be the first to hear when the book launches. So I'm going to drive as much traffic to this page as I can, try to get as many subscribers as I can. In that case, I got, I believe, about 75 subscribers, which is good. Now, after that, so you're driving them to the email course, and that was what I showed you earlier. So that's people are subscribing there. Okay, the next step, you're going to write a really detailed epic blog post, and then everyone on that, or basically you're going to send that out to everyone that subscribed, 70 people or so. And you're going to say, hey, the book's coming along well, give a little update on the product. And then here's a bunch of training content on a related topic that I think you're really going to like. So you send that out and say, oh, by the way, if you do like it, I'd love it if you would share it and help me spread the word. On that, at the end of that post, you're going to have an opt-in form or a link to your landing page and say, hey, if you enjoyed this post, I have this product coming out. Go here, sign up. And then basically what you're going to do is that's going to increase your email list. And then you're going to promote that post everywhere. So you're not just going to count on the people who who are already in your email list to share it. You're going to go promote it on Hacker News and subreddits and everywhere that your audience hangs out online. And then you're going to repeat that process again, each time sending your post out to your now larger email list. And then you'll repeat that process a third time. And this is kind of a minimum. I think by this point, I had about 450 email subscribers. And this is what I'm kind of gearing up towards the launch. And, again, I'm promoting all of these, and I'm still promoting that pre-launch landing page. But having more content just gives me more surface area, more that's exposed to the web that can be promoted. And so that list growth is going to keep growing over time. Then what you're going to want to do is send out an email that has all the details about the launch. And it's going to be, all along you should be teasing details like, hey, this is the date it's coming out. This is what's included, that kind of thing. But then the details post comes out a day or a couple days before it just says, this is everything you need to know about the launch. And, so at the end of that, they shouldn't have any questions. But if they do, you can say, hey, just hit reply. We'll go from there. I'll answer whatever question you have. But then you say, basically, this is the email where you convince them to buy. But you don't give them an option to buy yet. Then on the next email, that's when you actually open up the cart and say, here you go, you can buy. And all those people who are thinking about buying are now ready to buy. And that's with the launch email. And then you would also promote this sales page all around the web. You'd tweet it. You'd ask all your friends to tweet it. You'd ask for help from everyone you possibly know, because that's what it takes to launch a product. And then finally, I only have one email on here, but you need a reminder email or several. Your launch should go for a while. This is kind of the minimum. You launch and you say, hey, the discount is ending, or the price is going up, or the bonuses are expiring, whatever it is. Here's your reason to buy now, and here's a reminder to do it. That drives a lot of revenue. What I would recommend is once you open up you start the launch, I would have like 3 or 4 more educational emails over the course of a week, and then close down the launch. But have a couple different reminder or a couple different urgency plays in there, so that if you don't have some bonus for people who buy within the first 24 hours, and then do a reminder for that, and then have something special for people who buy in the first 3 days, have a reminder for that, and then have something, maybe the launch entirely closes at the end of 7 days, because then you can have a reminder for that. And then you might want to run a downsell at the end of all of that, just to the most engaged people who didn't buy, like we talked about at the beginning of the webinar. Okay, so Adam is asking a question. How much time passed between posts? Ideally, you might run this process over about a month. You want time to build up and all that. What usually happens is people are so busy and scrambling to try to get everything together for a launch that they don't, they have trouble like, I guess just getting it all done. Like putting together a product and growing an audience and all of that is hard. And so it can be really hard to get everything done in time. And so it's really just a matter of how quickly you can do it. I find that most people can't execute on a perfect schedule. And so, when I did this, it happened over 2 months leading up to the launch, and I had 3 or 4 blog posts and updates going out. Let's take some other questions. Let's see. So going back, another question from Jeff. He's using Facebook ads and Gumroad ads. How do you send people to a thank you page after a Gumroad purchase? You actually can't. They don't have a redirect to a URL after purchase feature. I really think they should. So you can email them and tell them that. I believe they have, let's see, you'd have to go look in your Gumroad account, but they have a place you can put Facebook tracking pixels so that you can mark that as being a success. And you can, once someone buys, they won't be included in the checkout process anymore. So yeah, check that out. Just Google Gumroad Facebook ad tracking. I'm sure a bunch of people have done it. Okay, Adam saying it's planning 8 weeks. Yes, 8 weeks is great. Yeah, generally the more really useful content, the better. And you want to allow enough time to grow your audience in this process as well. So make sure to do that. Okay, well, you guys are getting ready with some more questions. Really anything about anything, launches, email, ConvertKit, all of that is totally fine. But while that's coming in, I'll tell you a little bit about what we're doing with ConvertKit and what we'll do a little. Usually I like to do a bonus of some kind on these calls. And I think what we'll do, we have this concierge migration service that we do for a lot of our bigger accounts. So in we have some of these blogs with, 25 to a couple 100,000 subscribers switch over. Then we'll do the entire launch, or not the entire launch. We've been talking about launches so much that now I'm thinking in those terms. We'll do the entire migration for you. And so that's, normally we cap it off. You have to be on at least our 20,000 subscriber plan or higher. But as a fun little giveaway, if whoever signs up from this call first, and I'll pull up the page here. So you go to convertkit.com/plans-pricing. Basically, the first person to sign up and create an account, we'll do your entire migration for you. We'll switch over all of your forms, autoresponders, subscribers, tags, whatever. Whether you're switching from Infusionsoft or MailChimp, whatever it is, we'll do that. So, yeah, first person to sign up, my phone will get a notification when someone signs up, and we'll go back to taking some questions. All right. Okay, so question from Ballant. I'm doing a relaunch of my book, adding a few extra chapters and upgrading the framework to 2.0. Any specific advice on what to focus on as opposed to a first launch? Nothing too specific. It happens a lot like a first launch, in that I guess the only difference is that you're launching to a larger audience, because really each time you do a launch, only a portion of your subscribers are going to purchase, and so it gives you more time to launch again. So what you do is you'd have some great blog posts leading up to that launch, talking about what to focus on, talking about like the benefits of your product, how to accomplish things, sample content, all of that, and then you're gonna pitch your product decently heavily, and then have a good way to close the launch. The reason I love relaunches or second editions or anything like that is that you really get to focus on it more. You get to you're not scrambling to get the product, like to write an entire book or to produce an entire course or whatever it is, and run this launch sequence at the same time. You're usually trying to change like 20, 30% of the product and run this launch sequence. So I highly recommend launching again, because it's going to be really, really powerful for that. And it's just going to be, you'll be much more relaxed the second or the third or the fourth time around. The other thing is that I just lost my train of thought. Okay, so a second launch. What was I saying about that? Oh, each time you do a launch, you may think, okay, well, I launched to, 1,000 people, and let's say 75 purchased. So that list of 1,000 is done. I need to get new subscribers before I can launch again. And yes, you should get new subscribers, but in general, that's not true. You don't have to, because there's going to be all kinds of people on your list who maybe just joined. They're not yet convinced you know what you're talking about, or at the time that you did a launch was just a bad time for them. Maybe they were in between pay periods. They were about to go on vacation. They were having some major life event, like they were remodeling their house, and they're not going to buy a course or something like that when they have all this other stuff going on. So if you relaunch later, it might just be that you catch your subscribers at a better time. And so you'll get a different group of people to buy. So I highly recommend relaunches. Another point that Ballant brings up is doing upgrades. So the way that I do that is just create another product in Gumroad, and that's the upgrade product. And since ConvertKit keeps track of who's purchased, then everyone else is, I can just send an email just to those people who have purchased the first version, send them that special upgrade pricing, and then go from there. So, yeah, that's kind of the thing on multiple launches. I guess what I'd say is do it. They're highly recommended. Oh, and then the other thing is in ConvertKit, you would just exclude your buyers of the first version from your launch content or from your emails that link to buying the second version, because you're going to need to run, send a different email to people upgrading versus people who are just hanging out on the list. Okay, so Lisa asks, would you create integrations that don't exist for the concierge service? Integrations are a whole nother matter. We spend a lot of time working on integrations. We have some really great ones coming out. But no, that would not be part of the concierge service. Some recent integrations, OptinMonster just came out, and then we're working on some with Rainmaker, and I'm forgetting the other ones, but we have great integrations with Lead Pages and WordPress and Zapier, Gumroad. ClickFunnels is another one that we've had that integration for a while, and I need to get it on the website because I've just totally forgotten. Okay, so Jeff's saying, how do your open rates compare to MailChimp/Lead Pages? Most of my past emails and lead magnets end up in users' junk email folder. Okay, so this wouldn't be an open rate thing. This would be basically a deliverability thing. There's a lot of things that can contribute to your email landing in the junk folder. But we have really strong open rates, and we're actually going to start leveraging a lot of MailChimp's infrastructure for that, because they have really good open rates as well. But if your emails are consistently going to junk, take a hard look at the content that you're sending, because you might have an issue there. Sometimes certain content can get that flagged as well. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Pop Geek Heaven has 3 questions. Talking with Tom Morks yesterday. Oh, he's a good guy. I like Tom. Does ConvertKit have the ability to resend one or more emails to a specific email? Oh, okay. A common request for people who. Okay, I think I get the question. Let's see. So basically, someone signs up and then says, I didn't get the email or something like that, and they want it to be resent. Okay, so we don't have that built in, but it'd be pretty straightforward to just copy and paste the email and reply to their email and drop it in. That's what I've done in a few cases. But yeah, the other two questions, what about the ability to search by last name? We don't have that yet. We currently just do first name and email address. And then what are the plans for rolling out more template designs? Let me know whether you're talking about template designs. Well, I'll answer both. Template designs on the emails, you can bring over any template that you want from your existing provider before you switch, or from one that you buy from a template place or have custom coded. And then for landing page templates, we're going to stick to the 4 that we have, but you can drop our forms into any page made by pretty much any provider, as well as you can do all kinds of things there. So you could even custom code the forms if you wanted them to be totally customized. So if you're looking for more stuff, I definitely recommend checking out Opt-in Monster for their integration. And Lisa, it's good to see that you use Opt-in Monster. Because our integration with them just launched and it's doing really well. We do not have a SumoMe integration. If you do us a favor, send them an email, say that you would like a ConvertKit integration. We would definitely like it as well. We've been pushing for that for a while. Other things there. With SumoMe, you can connect it together through Zapier if you want. Let's see. Yeah, so you can connect through Zapier, and that works just great. The other thing is, if you're looking for a slide in or an exit intent or an opt-in modal or anything like that, take a look at what ConvertKit has built in. We have the majority of the SumoMe opt-in functionality built right into the product. Okay, Lisa, you're asking about other memberships or integrating with WooCommerce. So WooCommerce is pretty high on our list. We've just had quite a bit of other development to do, but that'll be coming soon. As far as membership, we have Wishlist Member and Zippy courses as integrations. And then obviously if any of these work with Zapier, then that's going to work well. So you could actually go WooCommerce to Zapier to ConvertKit right now. We'll have a direct integration fairly soon. Any other questions? I've actually got to run in just like 2 minutes, but if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them. And I think that actually just looking now, that spot for the free migration to ConvertKit is still open. So if you want to sign up quickly and then be the one to snag that, and just drop a note into the chat to say that yes, you did snag it. Once you've done that, then we'll migrate your site over. I think that's pretty much it. We're going to be, growing ConvertKit pretty quickly. We've had some awesome people come over from all sorts of different areas. So we're taking over the entire professional blogging market. And, a few people have been mentioned in here, like, that have been great recently. Tom Works, he's been really great with promoting ConvertKit and just helping us out. Pat Flynn just switched over, and he announced that on a Periscope that he did about a week and a half ago. And things are going well. We're growing really quickly. It's gonna be kind of a wild ride over the next 6 months. But if you're one of the people who joins ConvertKit now, you'll be one of those early adopters who joined before everyone knew about it and everyone was switching to it, because I can tell you that the October, as far as the promotion that we have lined up and who's endorsing ConvertKit and all of that, is going to be pretty crazy. So with that, I think it's about time for me to sign off. I got another call starting, but if you have any questions, just send them to support@convertkit.com. We're always here, happy to help. And looking forward to having you on board. If you do decide to sign up, you want to go to convertkit.com/plans-pricing. And that's obviously in the header right there, the pricing link, and basically just grab your plan size and then hit create account. So it's really straightforward. And let's see. Okay, that's pretty much it. And I will catch you all later. See you guys.